All right, well, good morning. It is a blustery and very cold Thursday, and I just got off of a 2-day little stretch at work, and we had a cold front come through last night. It is windy as all heck, really, really chilly, and I don't really want to do any bus work in this because it's about 30 degrees where the bus is. So Bree asked me the other day to get some parts for her Jeep, and I think today might be a good day to put those in it. We've had this Jeep for, I don't know, 3 years now, and all I've done is a couple of oil changes. Yeah, and a little spacer lift kit. And it's time for some maintenance. It needs another oil change, it needs a tune-up, spark plugs, air filter. Both differential housings are leaking, so we're going to get some covers and gaskets and new fluid in there. It might need a pinion seal. It also needs a track bar. It's pretty wobbly in the front, so we noticed that was bad. It started to drive a little shaky. And it might need a U-joint or two. So we're going to take that over to Dad's shop, throw it up on the lift, and get to it. We'll do some maintenance. So here we are in the 2003 Jeep Wrangler Rubicon. And the story behind this Jeep is Bree, a few years back, was looking to get her first play vehicle. In her life, cars were always tools, and she had had a couple of sedans, and 5 or 6 years into our relationship, she finally said, I want a toy. You have all these toys, I want a toy. And she settled on a Jeep. And as soon as she said Jeep, I said TJ. And the reason I did that is because I grew up driving CJ Jeeps. And for me, the TJ Wrangler is the last real Wrangler. And a lot of people say that's a bogus opinion or whatever, and maybe it is, but it comes down to one thing for me, and that's simply size. The JKs and the JLs are so much bigger. It loses that fun factor for me when you go off-road in something kind of small. It feels very light and nimble. It's got a really short wheelbase, a really narrow track, and I think it's the last real Jeep, so bring on the haters. But anyway, we did some looking around. We found this Rubicon. It only had 90-something thousand miles on it when we found it. We paid a couple $1,000s below market for it. It was right in central Massachusetts. It lived in Brooklyn, New York its whole life as a pizza delivery vehicle. I think it was just the pizza guy's toy write-off, but anyway. It never really saw too much salt because of that. The snow down in Manhattan just melts before they really throw any salt down. So not rusty, which is really rare for one of these in New England, mixed with the low miles, but not by any means an immaculate Jeep. We got a great price. So the cool thing about the Rubicons is you have lockers front and rear, electronic lockers. You also had a ultra low range in the transfer case. I can't remember what it is, 4.7 to 1 or something. I don't know. I don't remember the terminology. But it's got a way lower transfer case than your standard TJ Wranglers. Plus, I think, lower axle gears, and you got Dana 44 axles front and rear instead of the smaller, I believe they were Dana 30s. I'm not sure, don't quote me on that. So, a little bit more beefy, and there were some other cosmetic details that we don't really care about. But the point of the story is, we knew this Jeep could be anything we ever wanted it to be. It's got the 4-liter straight 6, which is absolutely bulletproof. 5-speed manual transmission. Simple. And it's a blast. So it's time to give it some love today. We'll throw it up on the lift and see if we can't clean her up a little. All right, so with it up in the air, we can see very much a rust-free example, which was a lucky find for us. You know, as far as New England goes, this sort of rust starts happening on like the first year if you're gonna drive it in the snow. And these are kind of notorious right here. You can see there is some buildup. I haven't pulled that down to fix it yet, but I think the frame's fine underneath. You know, the worst of our rust is some surface rust around here and some surface rust on these welds. And this is what was wrong with these Jeeps. These harsh edges, they're super simple, but they would catch salt. The paint wasn't very good from the factory and they would just rust like crazy. Worst spot on the TJs, for those that don't know, is back here. This would fill up with material and liquid, and just like 4Runners, you would lose this whole section and your trailing arm would come off. Also, all up here rots out just from tire spray. You can see on this Jeep we have factory paint and everything's looking beautiful. So really happy with that. Some surface rust on the axles, but the brake lines are all nice. Obviously you can see our dirt roads, and we've been through some mud pits and stuff, but it's all good and clean under here as far as rust goes. So you can see we did do new shocks that went with just the simple spacer kit. Gave us about a 2-inch lift, which allows these 33 10.5s to fit pretty nice. They just barely rub on full lock right there. And I think when you turn the other way, yeah, right here on the sway bar. So no big deal, don't care about that. So what we're here to do today is a couple of things. This is clearly bad. This is your steering stabilizer. You can see the oil leaking out of it. And then the bar behind it is our track bar. This joint is no good. I'll put the tripod together and see if I can't wiggle that for you. But that joint's no good, so the track bar goes down, ties over to the passenger side of the axle, and that's basically what keeps these tracking in a straight line. That's why it's called a track bar down the road, because the only thing holding the axle on is the links. It's a 4-link front, so 1 link there, 1 link there, 1 link there, 1 link there, and the track bar. And without the track bar being good, the axle just wants to sway. So we need to fix that. That mixed with the new steering stabilizer is going to really change the way this handles down the road for Bree. I don't know. Yeah, it looks like we got greasable ball joints, which is super exciting. So we'll grease those up, get everything clean with some new grease. The U-joints I don't think are greasable, which is a bummer. That one looks pretty sad, like it's been shooting some grease out of it. The other one looks dry, which isn't a good thing either. I mentioned this was leaking. It looks like they did it maybe just with Permatex last time. I actually bought the gaskets, so we'll put the gaskets in there, get that cleaned up. U-joints on the drive shafts. Again, are they greasable? I don't think so, which is a bummer. They're tight, but are they vibrating? Maybe. Can't really see that one without my light. Back here, pretty sure we need a pinion seal. I don't think we're gonna tackle that today. These U-joints, again, they look like they're not greasable and very dry, which is a bummer, but not loose, I don't think. So maybe that's not the cause of our mild vibration. It could just be the tires. But again, we'll do this axle cover, which you can see is leaking as well. They've been done before, but Permatex always leaks. I mean, it's fine if you're gonna be in there a lot, changing your fluid often. We're not. We don't off-road it very often. It looks like it needs axle seals on both sides, I'm noticing. That is definitely not something we're gonna tackle today, but something we're gonna have to tackle soon. Okay, let's take some bolts off. I need the bigger gun. we go. Yeah, oh yeah, it's milky. It's got a little bit of water in it. Not a lot. Pretty clean overall. I'm happy with that. There's our axle information tag. See if we can't clean that up a little, maybe. It's pretty rusty. It's got a big break in it right there. Might just have to throw that in a bag in the glove box. And I'm looking at the castle nut on our track bar. That's pretty rusty, and it doesn't look like I can get an impact on it, so that might be a struggle. I could maybe get an impact with a swivel from the right angle, but it's kind of not a great location. We'll see what we can't do about that, but I don't have the highest hopes. So look how the tiny bit of salt and moisture, I want to show you guys this, that we get in New England. Our axle information was on both sides. Interesting. One is probably the part numbers for the gear set. One's probably the part numbers for the locker, if I was going to guess. Maybe you Jeep guys know. Yep. Not bad. But what I wanted to show you was, see, even right here on the differential cover, just because salt was getting held behind that strap, it's starting to rust and separate. And those layers is what happens in the salt with the frames and everything. They just separate and pull apart. So really this needs to be replaced, but it's fine for now. It'll seal up again. They put, as far as I'm concerned, way too much silicone on there. It's excessive. Doing a whole lot of nothing. And it's probably why it leaked. It just wasn't a good application. So I'm going to do the copper spray gasket with my actual Felpro paper gasket, and I think we'll have a much better outcome than this. Everything sounds nice and looks good. Looks like there's just enough lash. I can hear it. Sounds good. Sounds really good. I mean, this Jeep only has 104,000 miles on it, so there shouldn't be any reason any of this would be messed up. So I guess the next step is just cleaning this surface the best we can. We got a lot to do with the scraper. Okay, so sticking with our front end work, it's time to do the track bar and the steering stabilizer. However, I ran out of copper seal gasket anyway, so I want that for the rear diff. So I have some back at my house. I thought this can was more full. But next steps is going to be getting that out and the track bar out, and then we can continue on. Alright, like I said about this track bar, I don't have the highest hopes that I'll be able to get in there. You know, I can get in there with a traditional socket, but getting the castle nut to break free without spinning inside the ball joint there is going to be tricky. So I'd love to use an impact, but I got some PB Blaster on there now soaking away. Got to get the cotter pin out, and we'll go from there. Well, I think it's coming. I think we're almost there. Yep. And it's off. Success. So I'm less excited about this side because there's a captive nut. You see this little flappy. I don't know why Jeeps do this, because these things just bend over. It really kind of frustrates me. I'm also going to lube up these so Bree can maybe get an alignment in the future, but it's unlikely that these are going to spin, so she'll probably need new control arm bushings to make that work. Looks like we got lucky. And that axle moved a lot. Oh, it moved a bunch. So that's kind of stuck right now. See if this will do anything. Ooh, I don't know. Maybe we'll have to use the pickle fork and get this side to pop down first. Where's my real hammer? Well, this is definitely not what I wanted, but it is a hammer. What the heck? There it goes. That had a lot of stress on it, for sure. Getting that back in is going to be a blast. Oh yeah. It's all wobbly and dry feeling. Despite all the grease, it just you can tell it's worn out. So good. Let's get this steering stabilizer off now. Looks like one big guy there, and then of course this one up top. Okay, so track bar is out, and then the steering stabilizer is also out. So time to go get the steering stabilizer, which I forgot at my house, and some more copper spray gasket, which I think I have. And we'll get this thing put back together. Then we can grease the front end and move to the rear. Okay, so you can see with the new track bar just sitting in place how far off our hole is. And even with that, you know, angled, it's still too far to get it lined up. So we're gonna need to slide this axle over somehow. And I still haven't figured out how I'm gonna do that, but we'll get it. We're not that far. Okay, well, we did it. We had the steering stabilizer bracket, and I found this, which I've never seen before in this garage. I have no idea where it came from, but this chain-driven come-along, which is pretty sweet. But anyway, long story short, we went from the frame to the steering mount, and we were able to just pull the axle. So this guy would pop into place. So I got the castle nut started, so just tighten that down, and then tighten down the other end, and the track bar will be installed. Okay, so the new track bar is in. You can see it there, all the way down to its connection point there. You can see I've also done some greasing, hit all the grease points up here, overdid that ball joint a bit. But I forgot my steering stabilizer back in my basement, so I gotta run back to the house and we'll get that done. Other goals for today on this Jeep are gonna be air filter and spark plugs, but I'm gonna hold off on doing the rear end fluids because I saw those leaking wheel seals, you know, the axle seals on either end. I don't have those parts, so we should wait to do diff fluids and all that at the same time as we do those seals. Alright, let's get this thing installed. Let's see if we can't get that to play nice in there. Get that set. Okay. Forgot the bottom washer. Yep. Okay, there's the washer. There's that. And we'll send that guy home. It's 17. Or is it? I think it might be standard. Is shit. And now that socket's stuck on there. Should have used the standard size. There we go. Now over here, if I remember correctly, it was a 15. All right, final tightness. I think this is the last thing in the front. Perfect. All right, so we accomplished a new steering stabilizer and a new track bar, and we greased the front end. Excellent. Let's move on to our basic tune-up, just spark plugs and an air filter. All right, we're done with the Jeep for today. Front end's got a bunch of new parts in it, plus all greased. We did an air filter, spark plugs, and next time we're gonna have to do wheel seals, pinion seals, and rear differential cover. But for now, it's good enough for me to drive. Now that the track bar is in, it'll be safe, and it won't be wobbly on the road, and she can take it to work whenever she feels like. But I think our next trip in this is going to be up into the woods because it's May, and that means the trails should be open. So, like always, guys, thanks for watching Highlandshire. Next time you see us, we should be doing a trail ride, and we hope you guys are going to enjoy that video. We'll see you then. Bye.